George Timothy Murdoch, known to the world as Tyrus, was born on February 21st, 1973, in Boston, Massachusetts. Growing up as a biracial child, he often found himself caught between two worlds, neither of which fully accepted him. His experience of rejection, both from his mother's side and his father's world, left him with deep emotional scars. These early struggles shaped him into the strong, resilient figure he would later become, but they also planted seeds of loneliness and a desire for acceptance that would stay with him throughout his life. He found solace in his physical strength, channeling his pain into sports. His athleticism, especially in football, became his identity until a ruptured appendix led to a career-ending injury, forcing him to reimagine his future in a world that had once offered him everything. Transition to wrestling. A new identity. When wrestling entered Tyrus's life in the early 2000s, it was not a glamorous escape, but a desperate attempt at survival. He joined WWE in 2006 under the ring name Gilla, and spent years grinding through the developmental leagues. The wrestling world was brutal, and Tyrus quickly learned how to turn physical pain into performance. He became a master at playing the part of the powerful, larger-than-life figure who could entertain while enduring the harsh realities of the industry. His character, Browse Clay, debuted in 2010, and though it was a fun, larger-than-life persona, it was also a mask, a shield he wore to hide the chaos he felt inside. His journey in wrestling was far from glamorous, but it was one of survival, the Funkasaurus and personal struggles. Tyrus's character transformation into the Funkasaurus in 2012 was meant to be a moment of redemption. The colorful dancing character was a far cry from the tough, angry persona he had cultivated, and it was intended to bring joy to audiences. However, behind the smiles and flamboyant moves, Tyrus was exhausted. He had spent years pretending to be okay, masking his inner turmoil behind the character. When WWI released him in 2014, he was at a crossroads, unsure of what came next. But Tyrus, always determined to push forward, reinvented himself in total, non-stop action wrestling, TNA, taking on the persona of Tyrus, a ruthless fighter and fixer for hire. This role felt like a reflection of his own struggles, a man trying to survive in a world that often felt cold and unforgiving. A new beginning in the National Wrestling Alliance. By 2021, Tyrus had found his footing in the National Wrestling Alliance, NWA, where he would go on to dominate the competition. He won the World Television Championship and, in 2022, the World Heavyweight Championship. But despite the recognition, the belts, and the roaring crowds, Tyrus felt an emptiness that victory couldn't fill. He had the fame, the adoration of fans, and the respect of his peers. Yet when the lights went down and the arenas emptied, silence awaited him. It was during this time that he met Ingrid Rink, a woman whose own life story of resilience and survival would change everything for him. Ingrid saw him not as the giant in the ring, but as the man behind the character, the one who limped away from it all. Ingrid Rink, a woman who fought her own battles. Before meeting Tyrus, Ingrid Rink had already lived through her own challenges. Born on April 24, 1981, she built her life through sheer determination. Starting with her passion for fitness, Ingrid turned what began as a personal journey into a business. By 16, she was already teaching fitness classes, driven by the control it gave her over a life that often felt out of her grasp. However, it was her son's diagnosis of type 1 diabetes that truly transformed her. Instead of collapsing under the pressure, Ingrid built something new. She founded Sensible Meals, a meal prep company designed to help families manage diabetes. It wasn't just a business venture, it was a lifeline. Through it, Ingrid also lost 150 pounds, undergoing a physical and emotional transformation that redefined her. Yet, despite her strength, she was still searching for peace. Building a relationship built on trust and patience. When Tyrus and Ingrid met around 2014, their bond was not built on the flashy aspects of fame. They were not two celebrities chasing attention. but two survivors who understood pain. Tyrus, with his emotional scars from rejection and physical injury, met Ingrid, a woman who had faced heartbreak, financial struggles, and the challenges of raising children on her own. Their connection was not instant fireworks, but a slow burn, built on trust, patience, and understanding. Together they found balance. Ingrid taught Tyrus to slow down, while he helped her heal from the pieces of herself she had sacrificed. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but it was real. When their daughter, Georgie Rose, was born in May 2014, everything changed for Tyrus. For the first time, the man who had spent years seeking applause found true joy in the laughter of his child, the blending of families, and a new chapter. The arrival of Georgie Rose marked the beginning of a new chapter in Tyrus and Ingrid's life. They were no longer just a couple. They were parents, building a family together. Their journey wasn't easy, and balancing busy careers with raising children from previous relationships added its challenges. Yet, despite the difficulties, they stayed united. Over time, their blended family became what fans would later call a modern-day Brady Bunch. Through hard work, compromise, and a shared vision of what family could be, they built a strong, loving home. When the world paused during the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020, Tyrus realized that amidst the noise of his career, he didn't want to face life without Ingrid. That spring, he surprised her with an engagement ring, marking a moment of clarity and peace in their tumultuous journey. A quiet proposal and a new beginning. The proposal, though not extravagant, was a deeply personal moment between Tyrus and Ingrid. He had already been living as her husband for years, and this simple, intimate gesture was a promise that the fighter who had spent his life seeking approval from others had finally found peace within himself. Their wedding took place on January 6, 2024, quietly and without spectacle, surrounded by their children and the love they had fought so hard to build. This was not a marriage born of fame, but of deep connection and mutual respect. For Tyrus, it was the final step in a journey that had begun with pain and loneliness, but had been transformed by love, forgiveness, and the strength of family. The move to a peaceful life in New Jersey. In 2024, after years of living under the spotlight, Tyrus and Ingrid made a life-changing decision. They left Louisiana and moved to a farm in northern New Jersey. It was not about wealth or luxury, but about healing. For Tyrus, the farm became a sanctuary where he could escape the pressures of fame and reconnect with his family. Ingrid, too, embraced this new chapter, rebranding her fitness business and living by the principles of renewal and self-growth. Their farm was more than just a home. It became a place of peace, a space where they could live their lives authentically without the noise and chaos that had defined much of their past. A new identity and focus on family. On their farm, Tyrus and Ingrid found the balance they had long been searching for. Ingrid returned to the basics of life, early mornings, homemade meals, and spending time with their daughter as she trained in equestrian competitions. Tyrus, once the larger-than-life figure in the wrestling ring, now spent his weekends cheering from the sidelines, not in an arena, but under the open sky. The spotlight no longer defined him. Family did. Together, they built a life that was imperfect, raw, and beautifully human. It was a life focused on love, healing, and creating something that lasted beyond fame. Their farm became their sanctuary, a place where the noise faded away and family came first. The storm before the calm. Even in peace, storms inevitably come. For Tyrus and Ingrid, the hardest test came in 2019, years before their wedding. Tyrus was at the height of his career at Fox News when accusations against him led to public chaos. His career, once filled with triumphs, was now overshadowed by a lawsuit. The entire world seemed to turn against him, and the public scrutiny reached his family. Ingrid, while supporting her husband, had to protect their children from the toxic media narrative. Through therapy sessions and personal breakdowns, Tyrus and Ingrid fought to rebuild trust in the face of adversity. Their relationship, already tested by life's struggles, became stronger through this trial. This storm, though painful, ultimately proved the depth of their bond and their commitment to each other and their family. Tyrus's retirement and legacy. By 2023, Tyrus had done what many never accomplish. He walked away from the wrestling ring on his own terms. At the National Wrestling Alliance's 75th anniversary show, he faced EC3 in a brutal bull rope match. The stakes were clear. If he lost, he would retire. When the final count came, Tyrus stood in the ring, not with defiance, but with peace in his eyes. He had nothing left to prove. His legacy was no longer defined by titles or belts. It was found at home, with his family, in the quiet moments of life. After the match, he thanked his supporters and left the arena, content with his decision to retire. Tyrus had spent decades trying to prove himself, but in the end, he realized that his greatest achievement was the love and peace he had found in his family. A new chapter as a family man. Tyrus's retirement marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one that was focused on being present for his family. He continued his work as a commentator and author, releasing books that reflected the unfiltered man behind the spotlight. But in the spaces between his public work, Tyrus embraced his role as a father and husband. He cheered for his daughter at horse competitions, helped his sons chase their dreams, and stood by Ingrid as she reimagined her fitness business. At 51, Tyrus finally understood what true strength meant: the courage to sit still, to forgive, and to choose love over pride. His greatest achievement was no longer the accolades he received, but the family he had built and the life they shared together.